Welcome back to Full Build Friday. I've talked before about how comic book characters can be a little difficult to pull together, but games that codify them make that all a bit easier. Since that is the case, let's go ahead and take a look at Marvel Rivals' version of Peni Parker and her bionic buddy, Spider. Or at least that's how I'll be pronouncing it.
Spider for the win!
The codified abilities of this game make building her a little easier, and we will mostly be sticking to the Rivals version of her, so let's take a look at what we've got. Within the limited lore of the game, Peni is a young woman who inherited the spider mech that she now pilots from her father. She is aided in doing so by the psychic bond that she shares with the irradiated arachnid that serves as her bot's CPU. In-game, she is regarded as a Vanguard, a sort of tanky engager type character, and her primary fire weapon is the Cyberweb Cluster, a fast-firing ranged weapon that she doesn't need to reload. Her alternate fire traps and mobilizes enemies in a cyberweb snare. She delves deep into the tech nature of her companion with the ability to lay out bionic spider nest, which creates cyberwebs and spider drones. The former grant her enhanced healing and movement speed while also hiding her arachnomines, whereas the latter chase down her enemies that get too close before detonating once in range of them. I just mentioned the arachnomines that she is able to lay down, which are also explosives, but ones that stay in place and are hidden by her web. For some mobility, she has her cyber bond to pull her to a place or snap her back to a webbing and out of a rough spot, as well as wall crawling, like any good spider person should. She closes out her abilities with Spider Sweeper, her ultimate which causes her to dash around the battlefield while doling out mines, drones, and webs on top of damaging and knocking up enemies that she runs into. Bringing that all together, I really want to portray Peni and her suit as one. I could maybe wait to see if we get a mech-based class in Starfinder, but who knows how long that will take. For now, we'll need a way to let her lay out lots of explosive traps while also being able to lock down foes. Though we don't want to neglect Peni's own enhancements from being on her webs. Also, we do want to try to make sure that we can get the spider a ranged attack. From there, we'll dive into Ancestry, which might be a little controversial. To play into Peni's position as a spider person, we will be using the Anadi Ancestry. I know, she doesn't actually have spider powers. But I think this is a really fun option, and it lets me use a non-human ancestry for once. I also think the Anadi's ability to take on a human shape really helps with this whole idea, and from it, she probably likes his spindly heritage, as a boost to speed is probably the most generally useful of those available. However, if you're not into this idea, go for a versatile human to get adopted ancestry for Anadi so that she can still take Skitter Talk, an ancestry that I feel fantastically fits her ability to communicate with the spider at the center of her suit. As for her ability scores, she gets boost to dexterity and wisdom as well as a free boost to charisma, though she does take a flaw to constitution. Moving on to Peni's background, I was a little surprised that there wasn't a mech pilot background or something similar in Starfinder, so I ended up settling on the battle mechanic background from the recently released Battlecry. This provides her with training in crafting and vehicle lore, while also giving her quick repair as a skill feat, which she'll hopefully be able to use to patch up Spider between battles. The first ability boost from here will go to Intelligence, whereas their free boost increases her Charisma once again. That brings us to Peni's class, and I think there's a few ways to go for it, but I ultimately settled on Summoner for her selection. This charisma-based caster grants an Eidolon that determines her magic tradition, and for the sake of building the spider, we'll be using a Scout Construct Eidolon, making it a little more nimble. She can represent her oneness with this construct through the likes of Share Senses and Act Together, but for the time being, they are still two separate entities. We're going to have to work on that. For now, we'll take a Deadly Finesse attack on Spider, grant it the Trip trait through its advanced weaponry, and then start looking at spells. Right off the bat, I like Tanglevine, inspired by her Cyberweb Snare, but you'll probably want a non-attack damaging cantrip as well that you can potentially combo with Spider Strikes. From the first rank options, I also like Summon Construct, or Summon Robot when more Starfinder stuff comes out, so that she can call forth a Clockwork Spy based on her drones. You could also keep on theme with Spider Sting since we do presently lack the way to really weaponize the construct for the time being. Before getting into skills, I want to mention that I made some considerable use of Starfinder in this build, which does start with the skills here. I'm going to try to include Pathfinder suggestions as well, and we're just going to see how that works out. Getting into it, her choice of Eidolon means that she would be trained in Arcana and Crafting, but with the latter already granted by her background, she'll instead become trained in Athletics, Computers, Nature, Occultism, Piloting, and Thievery. For a Pathfinder game, I'd swap out Computers and Piloting for Acrobatics and Stealth. Then, for Peni's ability boost, I'd bump up her Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma. We'll obviously want to focus on Charisma as her main stat, but I'm also going to give a side focus to Dexterity and Intelligence as they both feel right for Peni Parker. We start shaping up Spider at 2nd level with Ranged Combatant, giving us a low damage but potentially rapidly firing ranged strike for its Cyberweb cluster. If you're playing Peni as a Pathfinder purist, Crafter's Appraisal is a decent skill feat for her, but I kinda prefer Freaker from Starfinder, which will allow her to hack without needing a hacking toolkit. Given the story-limited nature of Rivals, her skill feats will lean a bit more into other iterations of her, such as the one from the Spider-Verse movies.
Can you rewire a mainframe while being shot at?
Can I what?
As a sort of caster martial hybrid, Peni actually gets some class features at 3rd level, such as Shared Vigilance, unlimited signature spells, and a skill increase that makes her an expert in athletics, mostly for Spider's sake. Given her role as a vanguard, we'll want to use general feats that help make her a bit beefier, such as this level's Robust Health. It doesn't actually give her HP directly, but allows her to recover more when she is healed, and allows her to be healed more regularly. With this level also granting her access to 2nd rank spells, we've got 2 big ones: Final Sacrifice and Web. The former will be used to detonate her Clockwork Spies to make them resemble her spider drones, while Web is another good way to entrap enemies and resembles the way that she spreads webs about in-game. Though she won't actually want to walk on these ones, which don't really distinguish between friend or foe. For the 4th level of our friendly neighborhood spider lass, she'll use Meld into Eidolon. This feat rightly receives a lot of flack, but it might honestly be the best way to resemble the way that she is safely ensconced within her mech. I am going to try to find something better, but I need a little time for that. As for her skill feat, I'd take Alchemical Crafting in a Pathfinder game, or Electrical Engineering if you're playing in a more advanced setting. This will allow her to siphon charges into the tech-based equipment of herself and her allies, which technically isn't Spider, but might be other gear that she wants to use. We start 5th level a little different than usual, because while Peni gains ability boosts to Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma, her faithful Eidolon also increases its Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Wisdom. Spider also receives Eidolon Unarmed Expertise at this level, while Peni gets a skill increase off of her boosts and level up, making her trained in acrobatics and an expert in computers. Or trained in society and an expert in crafting if you're sticking to Pathfinder. Then, her Webwalker Ancestry feat will make it easier for her to traipse through her own webs, even if it doesn't give her total immunity from them. She closes out this level with 2 very solid spells. While it lacks the thematics of Web, Paralyze is great for single target lockdown, whereas Rally Point lets her designate a point that she can snap back to, per the Cyber Bond that she can deploy. Speaking of spells, you may have noticed it is pretty pricey spell-wise to simulate her spider drones, but I do have another way of doing so. It starts at level 6 with an Inventor Dedication, and will take quite a while to really play out, but this does let her follow in her father's footsteps a bit, with the bonus of the Inventor's skill feat. Magical Crafting then works for her Pathfinder feat, but I'd actually go for Combat Hack normally, allowing her to interfere with enemies' tech in the midst of an encounter, causing it to glitch and potentially not even function. With 7th level, Peni really only gets a skill increase that makes her a master in athletics. However, Spider gains Eidolon Weapon Specialization, as well as its reconfigured evolution, which grants it an evolution feat that can be swapped out with a bit of downtime and a crafting check. I'd start off with Defend Summoner, since Peni is often protected by virtue of being inside her mech, but there's really a lot of options you could go for. Finally getting to this level's general feat, we settle on Toughness, based on her role as a vanguard, and just being generally useful for the summoner, by ensuring that they and their Eidolon have plenty of HP to weather any assaults. For the 8th level of our Mecha Managing Maiden, we finally achieve Hulking Size, which will make Spider into a large creature. With this, I would consider retraining Meld into Eidolon into Steed form. Arguably, Meld is closer to how it actually works out, but Steed form is a better option for operation, so it really comes down to your preference. While that might be where some paths diverge, Combat Climber is actually the skill feat for either Pathfinder or Starfinder versions that you could use, and calls to mind her wall crawling ability, So now we just need to find a way for Spider to do so as well. Getting into 9th level, Peni becomes an expert spellcaster and gains shared reflexes alongside Spider. Her skill increase will boost either her computer's or crafting skill to master, depending on which system you're playing. Following last level's skill feat, the Strand Strider Ancestry feat granting climb speed might make it seem a bit unnecessary. However, she can still benefit from having a hand occupied with Combat Climber. Beyond that, we do have access to 5th rank spells, which brings us Instant Minefield. This spell was freshly added in Battlecry and allows her to recreate her arachnomines by generating invisible mines for enemies to navigate. There's another double set of ability boosts at 10th level. Peni's will go to Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma, whereas Spider will boost its Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Wisdom. That boost to Intelligence will make Peni trained in Survival or Deception depending on the system you're playing in, and then there's 2 paths when it comes to class feats. I would personally prefer Skill Partner here, so that Spider can gain Combat Climber, Quick Jump, and Quick Climb, but you could sneak in an early basic breakthrough for built-in tools. Similarly, Peni can use Rapid Affixture or Digital Diversion as her skill feat, the latter being my preference and potentially playing into a more tech-based version of classic Spider-Man snark and sass. 11th level comes with a collection of cool class features for our Construct Commander, starting with Eidolon Defensive Expertise, Simple Weapon Expertise, and Twin Juggernauts. There's also a skill increase, which will make her an expert in crafting on the Starfinder side of things or in Thievery for Pathfinder. Then, she grabs Fast Recovery as a nod towards the enhanced healing that the webs grant her, though to really represent this, we'll actually take a look at next level's class feat, which will be Lifelink Surge. This grants Peni an additional focus spell, and one that she can use to grant fast healing to Spider for 4 rounds, letting it swiftly recover and then get back into the fight. As to her skill feat, we could use tech crafting so that she can whip up some modifications of her own, or slip in quick setup if you're looking for more of a low-tech world. My beloved lucky level 13 comes with defensive robes, Eidolon Unarmed Mastery, and weapon specialization. Naturally, there is also a skill increase that can be used to become a master of crafting or thievery, which is actually based on the idea of her gaining access to places that she isn't supposed to be, as she does when she's hacking. She finally gets Web Slinger as an ancestry feat, and I feel like this is actually pretty big, because the duration of web means that she'll probably only need to use this once per combat. If that is the case, I could probably see her just swapping web out from her spell repertoire going forward. Following those features, 14th level comes with Basic Breakthrough, which could be used to gain built-in tools, so that Peni can conduct repairs or possibly even hack computers as long as she has her innovation on her. It might seem like a bit of a strange choice, but it is really just a matter of taking a basic breakthrough so that she can take an advanced breakthrough in a few levels. On the skill side of things, I favor Quick Install or Wary Disarmament, either letting her swiftly upgrade her allies' equipment, or making it a bit safer for her to access traps and the like. With her 15th level, she and Spider both gain ability boosts. The former will go to her Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma, whereas the latters will once again increase its Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Wisdom. On top of that, they gain Shared Resolve and greater Eidolon specialization. There's also a skill increase here that will make her a Legend of Athletics, regardless of which route you're going, and then she uses Die Hard as her general feat, simply serving to make her more of a tank that she is meant to be as a Vanguard. We unlock another important piece of the Peni puzzle at 16th level as she gains the Trample class feat, which will serve to resemble her Spider Sweeper with the way that she can charge about and damage foes. This covers a lot of what we actually need for this character, so many of the following feats will simply be cleanup and getting us to the end of the build. For example, Percussive Maintenance is just fun, good old smacking it until it works. Hasn't failed me yet. You could also use Quick Unlock if you're going for a Pathfinder build. Summoners finally achieve Master Spellcaster at 17th level, and Spider also gets Ultimate Reconfiguration, giving it another evolution feat that she can swap out. Not to be basic, but I do kind of like Eidolon's opportunity for this, just to take advantage of Spider's reach. Additionally, Eidolon's Transcendence increases Spider's dexterity by 1, so that it can take greater advantage of its cyberweb clusters. Peni's skill increase then could make her a Legend of Computers or Crafting here, and she takes up Hybrid Shape, so that she can climb while remaining in her human form. We're honestly going for her spending as little time as possible in Spider form, to better sell the illusion of her being human. Alright, The whole reason I took Inventor finally becomes clear at 18th level, as she takes Advanced Breakthrough. From this, she gains Gadget Specialist, which will allow her to construct Clockwork Spider Bombs. These handy-dandy little gadgets are pretty perfect parallels to her spider drones, though perhaps a little bit slow. She follows that with your choice of magical crafting or craft anything, though she will be going for the latter as soon as she gets her crafting up there on the Starfinder side of things. For the 19th level of our Wonder Weaving Web Warrior, she gets Instant Manifestation, and then Spider gains Eidolon Defensive Mastery. There's also a skill increase here that will let her be a legend in crafting or thievery, depending on the route you're going, and either way, she'll take Fleet as her final general feat. She'll be spending most of her time on or within Spider, but in case she does ever get separated, this will help her get back to her partner. That brings us to 20th level, where we'll close out with ability boosts for Peni and Spider alike. The first of these will see an increase to Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma, whereas the latter takes its boost to Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Wisdom. This leads to a skill increase that she can use to become trained in Society in Starfinder, or Intimidation in Pathfinder. By process of elimination, Eternal Boost is likely her best capstone class feat. It lets her keep Spider charged up, which will be helpful to soup up its range attacks, as they're kind of low damage otherwise. We then close out on everything with Craft Anything for her Starfinder build, or perhaps Catfall when it comes to a Pathfinder build. The former will let her assemble just about anything she needs to create for the tasks that she finds herself doing, while the other might be helpful if she ever takes a tumble while climbing. When it comes to playing Peni and her Spider, things can get a little complicated, as they always do when it comes to summoners. Peni herself will want to use battlefield controls such as Web or Instant Minefield to slow down or punish approaching enemies, while Spider uses its ranged attacks to rain down its assault from afar. A pretty basic turn could look like Act Together to cast a spell, while allowing the Spider to fire off a single shot, and then still have another action to reposition or keep shooting. Peni can also clog up the battlefield with summon constructs, only to detonate them with Final Sacrifice when their HP gets too low, though given the limited spell slots of the summoner, be a little mindful when it comes to casting. As for a free Archetype game, it would be very handy when it comes to getting her Inventor dedication, and let her slip in the Brilliant Crafter feat, so that she gets automatic scaling on her crafting skill. This could leave her open to taking a casting dedication, and having the skill increases for that magic skill to do so. I'd probably look at a Sorcerer dedication that can tap into the Arcane spell list, since that has a lot of the spells that she'll be looking for, as we saw in the build that we just put together for her. It seems our silk is spun, but have we woven our web well, or could it not even catch a crook? Let's review and find out. Peni Parker, the operator of Spider, is a spindly Anadi summoner of a Scout Construct Eidolon with a battle mechanic background. Anadi may seem a strange choice since she is a human, but they can take on a human form, and I simply couldn't pass up on this chance for a variant of our so-called Spider-Man. We establish her psychic bond with her mech through her Construct Eidolon and the Share Senses class feature, which aids them in acting in perfect synchronicity. Her Construct companion gets a range attack through Range Combatant as her basic attack, while Peni herself uses Web or Paralyze for her Cyber Web snares. For the movement speed increase and healing provided by her Cyber Webs, we rely on 2 focus spells. Evolution Surge can provide a substantial boost to its speed, whereas Lifelink Surge allows her to grant fast healing to Spider to represent that aspect as well. Notably, Evolution Surge can also be used to grant a climb speed to our mighty mech, though this build also ends up using Sealed Partner for a few climbing feats while also buffering athletics to make it as easy as possible. We even find a way to cover Cyber Bond, which lets her snap back to her tether point through the likes of Rally Point. This largely leaves us with her Arachnomines and Spider Drones to figure out. For the former, we have the timely Instant Minefields, but it takes a bit more to put together her Spider Drones. The quickest way will be through a combo of Summoned Construct followed by a Final Sacrifice to get a nice big boom. However, by using the Inventor dedication to get the Gadget Specialist feat, we can make Clockwork Spider Bombs, which are a pretty perfect match for these drones. And that brings us to the last in the lineup of her abilities, Spider Sweeper. While a little simplistic, I think the best option for this is Trample, allowing Spider to charge through enemies and damage them, possibly with a little bit of a speed boost from Evolution Surge. This mighty mini maiden mashes monsters and more in melee through the might of her mecha, masterfully melding her mind with the might that manipulates her mechanical mate. Let me know what you think of this build and what other sorts of builds you'd like to see in a comment. If you like what you see here and want more, be sure to leave a like and then subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the blog, which is linked below along with the Twitter and Discord. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic Friday.